don't know which one to begin with. I think I'm gonna start off with the comic book stuff because that's like our comfort, right? That's a good start.
Sure.
Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Invincible was really cool to me because it's like it was one of those few comic book shows and stuff that I've never seen before. Like I've
Right.
never read the comic.
Right.
So like I get to walk into it and I get to walk into it clean slate like everybody else and I get to give an honest reaction. But I also do get the comic references even though I've never read that comic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things about it is like they have Omni Man is played by J.K. Simmons, and he
Mm-hmm.
looks like J. Jonah Jameson as
Mm-hmm.
Superman. It's a cool little show. I like the little Easter eggs with like the main character. I think his last name is Grayson, and he pretty
Yeah.
much acts like
Yeah.
Dick Grayson or
Right. Right.
Terry
Right.
McGinnis.
Mm-hmm.
And yo, the whole show is basically a nice little cool rip on the DC universe, and then it just gets mature for no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
like yo, that ending of that first episode. I don't know if you read the comics. I don't know if you were
So
expecting this.
I mean, no, I'm in a similar boat, right? So I remember a long, long time ago. So back when the comics were fresh coming out, and
Yeah.
I think I was watching like a YouTube channel about the comics, and like I just saw the only thing I saw was like, oh my God, this is so graphic. And I mean, I didn't know who was who, right? Like I didn't know what was going on, but I
Mhm,
just saw like Omni Man fighting this person, ripping them
mhm.
apart, doing I was like, oh my gosh, this is violent. Like, yo, so for me, I was like, okay, this is cool. I don't know if it's got any legs. It is cool that it was from Robert Kirkman, same guy that did Walking Dead. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, maybe it's got some potential because I actually fell in love with the Walking Dead comic before the show. No, I take that back. I liked the show, made me read the comic. The comic is 10 times better than the
Mhm.
show could ever be.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I believe in Kirkman. Like he can do some things. So when I heard about the show coming out, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool because I started looking into the comics a little bit, so I knew the twist was coming,
Mhm.
but I didn't know like when, where, why. So I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna
Okay.
let the show do
Okay.
the talking and the walking for me. But from what I understand, the show jumped the gun because
Yeah.
that ending that we saw was not something that hit the comic until like I don't know issue 7 or something like that. So
Okay.
like it was more setup. So it was more like we in the comic from what I recall, it was something like we saw more of Grayson as a kid,
Mhm.
like he was 7 years old. That's when his dad told him like, hey, you may or may not have powers and stuff like that. So, but the first episode jump starts. It leapfrogs over a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff, and it just gets right there to the big reveal or the big twist. Um, so I think we're in a good place with the show for it to do its own thing. My only concern is it going to go the same path as The Walking Dead, where or a similar path, I should say, where like it goes so fast
Mhm.
that it leapfrogs the actual comic as
Well, the
well.
good news is the comic ended.
Okay, so there was
There's an ending. There's an
there's an
ending.
actual
So,
okay.
so I didn't follow the comic, and something that's also interesting, I didn't know Robert Kirkman made the comic. I knew it from the artist Ryan Otley,
Oh,
and
okay.
I knew the artist. I followed him. I always saw this character. He looked cool. But the comic ended, and the
Mhm.
artist ended everything. He started moving on,
Nice.
drawing Spider-Man. So there's opportunity to absolutely go do a beginning, middle, and end. They can do a
Nice.
complete story. So I'm really
I'm okay
looking
with
forward
that
to
then.
it.
I'm
Yeah,
okay with
yeah,
that.
I'm digging this. I think this series is gonna have like what 8, 9, 10 episodes, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like 8 to 10. I forget which.
But
But I'm wondering like, is this gonna be a limited series or are they gonna stretch it to two? I don't know.
so that's the thing, right? That's what I don't understand about these animated shows. It's not like The Boys where they could just,
Right.
hire everybody and just crank out another season after a few weeks of
Yeah.
filming. This is hand animation. Like, did they?
Right.
I hope they renewed this already because I'm ready.
I mean, I hope so too because I mean, not only but you do have a great cast. right? Like, and you
Yes.
have a very diverse cast. Like, I'm talking about like
Yes.
a lot of different stars are doing this stuff. Um, Obviously, J.K. and Stephen Yen are like, the bigger names here, but um, you have Zachary. What is his
Levy?
name? Yeah,
Zachary
from
Quinto. Zachary Quinto from Star
Quinto
Trek.
from
Yeah.
Heroes, Star Trek. You know, I think he plays Robot, or whatever the robotic guy is.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's his name.
yeah, yeah, but so I don't know how hard it is to get those stars aligned or not.
It's voice
Um,
acting. They can do it
but
from
it
home,
is voice acting. It's kind of like,
right?
yo, do it in your basement. Send us
Right?
the clip.
Soundproof your basement and let's go.
Right. And the animation, I mean, like, I like it. It doesn't seem that complex, from what we're seeing, but
So it's really similar to the artist's style. So like if you ever see Ryan Otley's style, he has a very distinctive
oh,
style.
from the comic, yes.
Yeah.
There's I'm trying to think of like the animation when I first saw this. I was like, is this Boondocks
I thought it
or
was DC animated universe. It was like it
no?
reminded me of
I
that.
mean,
Especially
maybe,
like Justice League Unlimited. Like it
yeah,
reminded me of that.
a little bit because it's kind of like the
Or
simple
Marvel
lines.
animated.
It's kind of like the simple line drawings and stuff. Almost, you know what? Almost like not Marvel animated,
Ultimate
Avengers Assembled. You
Yeah.
know, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Like
Yeah.
it's along those lines, but obviously, content wise, not so much.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, I'm I'm looking forward to it. I think that it has a ton of potential, and so far, what I've been able to see, because I've been able to see, well, I didn't watch the fourth episode yet, but I mean, every episode ends on a cliffhanger.
dude.
So they really could, if every episode is
can-
shaped like that,
So
that could make for a really good weekly release.
not so every episode ends on a cliffhanger and then every episode just sprinkles in this super adult moment for no
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
Like is it me or did they have a superhero entanglement?
I mean,
Yes.
maybe.
It took entanglement to a new level too,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Right. The
Yes.
triplicate girl.
Yes. Yes. But
Yo,
I mean, this is one of the things that I've always appreciated from like independent comics or
yeah.
anything that wasn't DC or Marvel is like they can actually push the limits. They can actually be like, what would superheroes actually
Mhm.
do? And a lot of that is an exploration of the human mind. Like, where does your imagination take you? Like if you
Mhm.
have strength, are you really just gonna soften up your punch so that you don't tear the person apart? Or are you really going to not just throw everyone in the sun?
Listen,
So it's kind of like,
just throw him in the sun when all
yeah,
else
just
fails.
when in doubt, throw them into
Throw it
space. So it's interesting that
This show
they're
came out at the right
going.
time too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, right after the boys, right after just all this Marvel
Snyder
stuff
cut.
like Snyder cut. Like, I
I'm
look,
ready. I'm ready for the
just
visceral.
even though I wish that it was on, I wish this came out actually on like HBO, because I think if it came out on HBO, it'd be a much bigger audience. I don't know if it, even though yes, a lot of people have Amazon, Prime,
Everybody has Amazon. We just
right?
don't know we have
But
free video.
that's what I'm saying though. Like, I don't know if it's a marketing thing. I don't know what it is, but like Amazon Prime has some gold on there, and they've got some upcoming gold, which I can't talk about. But they got some stuff,
Hey.
but it's gotta dig for it. Like,
Hey.
man, you gotta dig for it. But we'll just have
Yeah.
to watch
Wait
out
and
for
see.
them, you know.
Moving right along. Keeping with this comic book theme and somewhat light, the Suicide Squad.
Hmm.
They have a TV spot. James Gunn released it. Did you see that? I ain't see it yet.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't watch the TV spot. I usually don't watch TV spots because all they do is just ruin the movie. They just show you more of the good parts of the movie. Like, if you're not sold after the trailer, you probably don't need to watch the movie. Just saying. Like, if it takes another 2-3 minutes of the best parts of the movie to convince you, that might be all they have left.
That's a shame.
It
I,
is a
I'm a,
shame.
Hold on. Let me look at this trailer again. Cause like I saw it. I don't feel like I saw it properly. Give me
I
one
don't.
second.
You about to watch the whole trailer now?
It's just 3 minutes.
How you
That
feel
joint,
about
this shit is whack.
it? Wow, really?
Yo, this joint is so
That's how you
whack.
feel, huh?
It's so whack. Like,
I
what do
actually liked it.
you liked it?
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, but here's the thing. I don't have the hugest expectations for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I figured this is going to be a movie. It's a James Gunn movie. I
Hmm.
figured this is going to be a mix between. No, I don't want to say that. This is going to be the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Not the emotional stuff, that we got with the dad and all the love bonds and stuff at the end of that movie, but the very beginning. So a lot of the, hey, we're fighting this big huge monster,
With
but at
some
the same
gag going
time
on,
there's
yeah.
a gag going on. There's some really
Man,
funny music happening, and I feel like it. I feel like that is going to be the movie. Like I don't.
convince me this isn't Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Because that's what I just saw,
That's
right?
that. That's what I
I
said.
even listened to Awesome Mix Volume 3. That
That's
was
what I'm saying.
awesome.
This could be volume 2.5. You know what I'm
Right?
saying? Like it's when you look at that final battle with Staryu, you know,
Starro.
or Starro,
Star you.
Staryu. What is that? Pokemon?
Pokemon.
You know, same creatures. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But Starro,
Yeah.
classic DC villain, by the way.
Yeah.
But
He's
like
great.
when you look at that battle, I'm like, bro, like you just had a big tentacle monster battle in the
In
opening of
Guardians of the
Volume 2.
Galaxy.
Like, because people are like, oh, I wonder how it's gonna go. I'm like, he showed you how it's gonna go. It's
They
exactly
got
that.
the same actors. Listen, I'm not a huge James Gunn fan. You already know this.
I know.
I feel like he's got a few tricks and he's relying on the humor more of his cast than his
Yes.
actual direction. And that's what I'm seeing here. This joint looks more of the same, right? It took what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. They put the DC characters in it. Even Harley Quinn characters look like she just kind of phoned it in. Oh, you guys are waiting for me. I'm already out
I'm
here. I can go back
here.
in there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like I
and
said,
where's Will Smith, man?
I'm
Come on.
only looking for
Where's Will?
King Shark. I'm looking for King Shark to be the funniest role out this whole movie, and that's about it. And that's Sly Stallone too. So that's about it. Like honestly, have you watched the Harley Quinn show on HBO Max yet?
The cartoon?
Yes.
Nah.
Hilarious.
And
When I tell you, you will literally laugh out loud. And
so you know my rule
this
about
is coming in
cartoon.
the same vein of that.
You know my rule. I don't watch cartoons.
But this is
Invincible
not
is my rare exception,
look,
and I
look.
blame
If you
Gary from
have to
DC
make
animated films.
another if you have to make another exception, this is it. Like Harley Quinn is so
part of
funny. It
part of
is
me I
so
don't do it is because I'm not looking for a gateway to get sucked back into that kind of stuff. Like it'll suck you in.
feel you. I feel you, but this is just something you need to watch because it first of all, it's so meta. You know what I'm saying? Like they you
I've
ever
heard
watched
great things.
huh?
I've heard great things. It's like
It is
Freakazoid funny.
I never liked Freakazoid. That was just I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me. It just didn't. I was an Animaniacs fan,
Okay,
but I just didn't care for Freakazoids per se.
same kind of humor, but
No,
different
sure,
different
but
strokes, different folks. I ain't gonna
this
knock you.
this one is like it reminds me of Duckman. If you ever watched that
I
on
remember
USA,
Duckman from
look
USA.
if you like Duckman, this is
See,
like
I
Duckman
gotta
and
rewatch
Freakazoid
Duckman
together.
because I watched it as a child and I
I did too,
definitely
and I'm
didn't
sure I missed a lot.
a lot, right? I was sitting there just happy that I was up all night.
Right. Right. And I'm sure I wasn't supposed to watch Duckman, but I watched
No,
it anyway,
right? Like, oh, it's cartoons.
Yeah,
Come on.
hey, yeah. No,
How
but
bad could it be?
Harley Quinn, you gotta watch it. But anyway, if you
Yeah.
watch Harley Quinn, then I think this is gonna be in the same vein. Because the other thing that we have to consider is like, yeah, James Gunn has his level of humor and stuff, but at the same time, he was much more restricted with Marvel and Disney with the PG label. Now that it's rated R, I'm like, okay,
What we
how
gonna do?
much
More
funnier
dick
can
jokes?
yeah.
We're gonna see some bare ass. What are we gonna do? We're gonna see three titties. What are we gonna see here?
Funniest humor that we'll see is how people die. I think that's
Yes,
what it is.
that's
Like
his
there are
humor,
gonna be
right? It's
so
gonna
many people that are casting this, and they
here's my
probably
thing.
only have
He's just
2
going to
minutes.
borrow ideas that we've already seen and reintroduce them. You just described Deadpool 2.
Yes, yes,
Right?
but
You just
this is
described
DC's Deadpool.
Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
for sure. You
Are
might
you
see Brad
excited to
Pitt
see
just
this
show up
movie?
and die.
Are you excited for this movie? Did
I'm
this
not.
trailer do it for you? Let me rephrase that. Did this trailer make you excited?
The King Shark was the only thing that actually got me to be like, yo, and like jump back. Everything else, I'm telling you, I- when it comes to DC, and I hate it that people say like this is Marvel bias, because it's not. Because I root for. No, the thing is, I want all of these properties to succeed. I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched every single animated DC movie, and they're
Yes, you
great.
have. Yes,
You
you
see what I'm
have.
saying? So I'm like, don't talk to me about Marvel DC bias,
Mm,
because if it's a good product, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna like it and I'm gonna get excited about it. I get excited way more for their animated properties than their live action. So because of their track record with the live action, I'm I'm always in wait and see mode, because as a comic movie fan, I don't want my heart broken. Like if it doesn't live up to the expectations. So for me, I'm kind of like, okay, like I see what y'all doing. I
mm.
think James Gunn's movie is gonna do better than the previous Suicide Squad. You know,
What did the previous Suicide Squad do? That movie made money.
I mean, so it wasn't critically acclaimed. Like it
All
made
right, all
money.
right. We're not going to get into that debate.
Fine, but my real litmus test, though, my real litmus test is: are you going to be better than the 2 animated Suicide Squad movies?
Okay.
Because the 2 animated ones were superior. I mean, Assault on Arkham Asylum, great. The twists, the
Mm-hmm.
humor, the maturity in it, awesome. The second movie, not as corny or whatever, but my goodness, they brought Bronze Tiger in there, and I'm sitting there like, why are
I
y'all
love Bronze
giving
Tiger.
Bronze Tiger a movie?
Yo, Bronze Tiger, they sleep on this,
Bro,
man.
if you have not seen them 2 movies, those are other must watches. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm in wait and
I,
see mode, and
I'm a
I'm
fan of
like,
Tom King's writing, so I know who Bronze Tiger is.
no, I'm saying they gave him justice in
I,
that second movie. That's why I was like, y'all need to do more with him. Like he's a fantastic. That's why I was so disappointed that
so
Idris was not cast as Bronze Tiger. I'm like, he's literally the dude does MMA. Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
would be Who are you? They made him some other character, Bulletproof or whatever they called him, something stupid.
Bullet head, leatherback. I don't know.
I don't know, whatever it is. I was just like, why? Like the moment he was rumored to be involved with the project, everybody was like, Bronze Tiger. You have to make him Bronze Tiger. And I'm hoping that maybe that James Gunn, as active as this guy is on Twitter and everything, he had enough foresight to be like, psych your mind. We only called him this, but he really is Bronze Tiger. I hope they do that, and then have him meet up with Deadshot later with Will Smith. But
Please bring back Will Smith.
Will Smith has just been busy because he was gonna be in this movie, but he was shooting Gemini Man at the same time, and he was just like, I just can't do the scheduling. So that's why they brought Idris in as a replacement. But Will Smith he's still locked in for this.
I hope so.
So
They need to bring
I
him back.
think if this ends up doing well, then they'll bring Will Smith in, and we'll go from there. But I don't know. I mean, they brought Harley Quinn back, so in this soft reboot, I think this is part of the soft reboot, like their slow departure from the Snyderverse.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's a topic for us to talk about.
Hashtag restore the Snyder. First off, yeah, this is a good little segue.
I figured I'd give you one.
So, restore the Snyderverse, right? We've talked about this one a couple times. I'm not going to talk about whether or not. I mean, we can, but like, it took a weird turn this week, right? We started going into review bombing, and we had conversations about what was going on with Kong and Godzilla.
We didn't talk about that. We should talk about it, because the last time we were talking, we was having a conversation about top fan toxicity, and
yes.
I was saying that yes, the Snyder fans have a bad history because they've gotten to the point where they've issued death threats to some of the executives,
Yep.
and that's problematic.
Yep.
And you were bringing up like, well, some of the Marvel fans would, thumb down stuff, and I'm like, I don't think that's the same. Not to say that no fan base doesn't have, their own share of toxicity, but
Mhm.
clearly to me, any movement, whatever it is, any movement is usually going to be judged by the worst of it. And it's sad because usually we expect whatever movement to be good, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're championing for women's rights, Black Lives Matter, we expect you to do this in a positive way.
Yes.
However, if one of these movements storms the Capitol, or riots and causes fires and anarchy, then
Yeah.
that takes away the light of the positive, because now
So
we're naturally as humans attracted to the negative. So for me, when I'm looking at the Snyder stuff, I'm like, okay, hey, the fans for years have been really adamant about release the Snyder cut, and that's been great. But along the way, they've had some ugly, ugly stuff happen. And the more recent times, they literally just review bombed Godzilla versus Kong. They went on IMDb and started putting 1-star reviews,
yo, yo,
trying to
this
tank
this
the
is this
movie
is
to
this
get
is
the
like
attention of the
this is
executives
this is
again.
like a Ralph Boner, all right? This is a casualty. All right, you gotta take one for the team, okay? Let's say Godzilla.
Listen,
Hashtag
no,
restore
it's
the
no.
Snyder.
This,
So
this is the
hold on,
thing.
hold on, hold on.
You
I was
don't
thinking
want
about
these
this.
type of things to distract from your main goal. And
I was
the best way to kill this stuff, because I'm not saying this is the entire Snyderverse. I'm saying these are like 20, 30 people out there, right? But they're giving the Snyder fans a
so
bad name
so
because
here's something
their
I was thinking
actions,
about.
huh?
Hear me out. The people that are review bombing, right? These people who are Zack Snyder fans, they watch his movies. Is that really a different audience? Like, let's think about this for a second. The people who go see DC movies and the people who go see Marvel movies, are those really two different groups of people, or are those just the same group of people behaving differently?
I mean, I think at the core of things, we're all comic book movie fans. Like, if you're a DC fan, I find it hard to believe that you're not watching Marvel movies.
Right?
And if you're watching Marvel movies and you're a fan, there's no way you're not watching DC movies. Like, you probably have strong opinions about one
Yes.
or the other,
Yes.
but we're all in the same fan base. That's why I don't like the labels of, oh, you have Marvel bias, you have DC bias. It's like, no, like,
I don't
I'm a
like the
fan.
labels of Marvel fans and DC fans. I think these are
Like
all the
it's a
same
weird
group of
sense of
people.
it's a weird sense of tribalism that doesn't make sense.
This isn't
'Cause
like
it's like even the
politics,
companies are
but it's
not
like
opposed to one
it's
another.
like politics, right? We draw lines like
But that's the
politics.
thing. Politics are actually like Republicans and Democrats are actually against one another, right? DC and Marvel, they act like they don't exist. They like, yo,
So
we're just doing our thing. we we
no,
actually
no,
have
no, no,
lunch
no, no,
together.
no, no. They don't ignore each other. But
I'm
yeah,
just saying. I'm just saying. Like the studios are not going out of their way to say like, hey, Marvel sucks. We're better. Like they're not engaging in the
yes,
tribalistic behavior
no,
that fans are. That's why like the whole
it's
DC
weird.
versus Marvel thing is weird. It's like, why are you such a weirdo that you think that because someone has a different opinion that they have to automatically, subscribe to this belief system? No,
Yep,
like maybe I
yep.
just don't like that movie. That's it. It's the same way I don't like Captain Marvel,
So
but
I
I'm
would
a Marvel
argue
guy.
that the same 50 people who went and review bombed Kong are probably the same 50 people who review bombed Captain Marvel when it was released,
It could be, maybe. I mean,
right?
given the fact that like I feel like the tribalism is a little bit different, I don't
I
think
don't think it's
so.
different people. I think it's the same people.
No,
They just
I
put
mean,
on
I don't
different
know.
costumes when it's
I don't
time for
have enough
Marvel.
to.
You
I
know,
don't have
Marvel Day, I
enough
put on my
to
Marvel hat. On DC Day, I put on my DC hat. But every day, I'm a dickhead.
maybe. I don't have enough to go off of that, even though it wouldn't surprise me. You know what I'm
Like,
saying? Like the people that are,
I mean,
because
we
to
go to
be
Comic,
honest with you, and
right?
this
We
is
go to
just stuff
Comic
I've
Con. We
seen.
see them there.
No,
They're
no, no.
there.
I've seen this. I've seen this like in the little online groups and stuff. The people that are diehard DC fans.
Yes, they exist.
They happen to also, and I'm just saying this is a weird correlation, but I've seen it. The people that I've seen, not saying everybody, they are hardcore DC fans. They happen to align themselves with one certain political party, and then they also were trashing Captain Marvel for identity politics. So I think it's definitely a mindset that's connected there.
We're tiptoeing around a whole other subject, right? Like I'm curious about it to like kind of go into it about the whole how politics intertwine with all of this behavior. I'm kind of I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Study made. I would love for somebody to do a study and just be like, hey, how do you identify yourself with politics?
Yo,
if you had to pick between one movie versus the other, how do you choose? Because my thing is, I think you might actually mess around and see a certain correlation. Because I've seen certain people complain about
like Gina Carano.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, for example.
It's gonna be like Gina Carano.
Right? No, like
you just realized like you were strongly opinionated after the fact. Like, oh,
right.
You in here?
Right.
My bad. I didn't know you.
Did you just echo some of the political talking points that I already agree with? You know, or like, I've seen people already resistant. Like even comments on my YouTube breakdown for Falcon and Winter Soldier, I've had people jump in and be like, here comes the social justice woke stuff, and I'm like,
shit.
Let me guess where you let me just take a wild guess. And this is off the first episode. They didn't even get deep with anything on the first episode.
Yeah, leave these trolls alone, man. Leave the trolls alone. I leave the trolls.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just relation. It's like, if be deep into this political ideology, it permeates its way into other stuff, which is weird. It bothers me because I'm like, I really wish people would go back to just thinking for themselves, not letting liberal or conservative, right wing, whoever, stop letting all these other people talk for you.
The comic book community, the Marvel community, all this MCU community, they're pretty good at like masking their political affiliations, right? Sometimes it comes out in their work. You don't really hear like comic book artists, writers, creators, anybody revealing where they stand politically. When they do, it's usually a problem, right? I can think of like a couple artists who've done it, like Ethan Van Sciver has done it. Frank Miller has gotten into trouble for it. Hold on one second. Like a couple of people have revealed their political affiliations. It's not good. It's very dangerous to your career.
It is.
Frank Miller got canceled for a while.
I remember.
300.
I remember.
Right. Yeah. And it's weird because it doesn't come up, it doesn't come out, but we're seeing the line drawn in other ways. The behavior is still coming out, right? Like what you're saying, right? Are these people who are review bombing also the same people who are like Gina Carano and making fun of people wearing masks? I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. It's kind of interesting to me. I kind of want to touch on it, but I also don't really want.
I mean, I think it's one of those things like it needs to.
I don't want those people talking to me.
When it rears its ugly head, which I think is eventual, like it'll happen eventually. But it's one of those things that we all know it's there. But it's like people are just. I'm waiting for people to expose themselves. Like when you come in, because for me, I'm like, I'm cool if you have various opinions about the source material. But when you start bringing your external stuff and projecting it into the comics when it's not even there yet, that's when it's kind of like, okay, see, now you're becoming problematic.
Yeah, right. It gets weird.
Yeah, like if your critique about Falcon and Winter Soldier is the fact that they're doing identity politics and why do they have to bring race into it? It's like, well, clearly you're not a fan of Marvel. Like you don't know anything about the comics because it's literally what the comic story was about. Like Marvel is not doing anything revolutionary by telling that this is probably the closest to the comics of an adaptation that they've done so far. It's definitely is for Disney Plus, but in terms of like a straight up rehash of what was happening in the comics, this is pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, they've changed, you know, did a little gender bending here and there, but outside of that, we're lockstep. Like, this is one of the reasons why I didn't even want to talk about the Power Broker, because I was like, the second you learn about the Power Broker, it's almost a spoiler for the series, because that's how close they're kind of digging into it. So anyway, but yeah, I'll wait for people to just expose themselves, because, you know.
Yo, I can't wait to see what Isaiah Bradley has people feeling.
And look, I mean, right now I've seen a lot of support for him. A lot of people are like,
already,
like,
right?
For me, I'm like, I need to see that young Isaiah Bradley flashback whooping up Savage Winter Soldier. I need that encounter. Y'all need to give me that 5-minute flashback.
Who needs to play? Who's gonna play young Bradley? Do we know?
I don't care. Just put a big swole dude with a mask, so that way the stunt double.
If Mike Coulter comes out, I'm gonna be mad.
No, I mean, he can't play every big swole guy. He would have been perfect though.
He would have been perfect.
He would have been perfect if he wasn't already Luke. Actually, yeah, no, he would have been perfect. But
right, they're bringing in characters anyway. Just
you know, but one way or another, I need that. I don't even think he needs lines, you know, to be honest. Like, it could be just it's a covert mission. He's doing whatever, and then he finds Bucky, and they just go at it. Bucky's not talking, you know. It's not like he has lines when he's Winter Soldier. So I'm like, if you just show some stunt double dude, and then you have the stunt doubles do the work, no words need to be spoken.
If they bring in Bobby Lashley,
if that's the look that you need, and Bobby Lashley does look like him, then
he's got to be the big swole.
Yeah. Bring in Bobby Lashley. If he ain't got to say 2 words.
Stop it.
And let them go at it. Just boom, 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 slap it, rip that arm off. Like, dude, let's go. I need Savage Bucky back though. My man needs to grow his hair back out and put that mask on.
I'm okay with short hair, but I'm curious.
He needs the mask at least.
I want to see him get back to that level of efficiency. Seeing him get his ass whooped by these super soldiers is pathetic, right? I've seen him.
I'm not too mad about that, just because it's no different than fighting regular people.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's
yes,
not.
It is. The main difference is that he's trained.
He is trained.
Right? It's not like he's like a civilian who just got the super soldier serum, which is what they are. This guy's a trained spy.
That's true too. Fair
right?
enough.
He's not even like a regular soldier.
Fair point.
Right? He's been an assassin. He's going one-on-one with Black Panther.
Maybe he's trying to adhere to the rules. Don't hurt nobody. That's number one. Maybe. I don't know.
He's been.
But I agree with you. I agree. Like, you know, my man is trained. Like, look, like I've been saying, I need to see my man get the knife, do the twirling, and
I just watched that scene. Man, I expect Winter Soldier to step his game up. He don't got to necessarily get the look back, but he needs to he got to step his game up.
Yeah. But anyway, yes. The Snyderverse.
Snyderverse.
It is. Look, it's good. I don't even know. Like,
I would argue, and I've been saying this, I was wrong about this, man. I misjudged the Snyderverse, and I was presented it incomplete. When I first saw Man of Steel, I was ho-hum about it because I still wanted to see Christopher Reeve or the animated series interpretation of Superman. I moved on from that. When I first saw the Batman and he's killing people, I was just mad that he was not like the animated series, honestly. Like, every interpretation of Batman has killed people.
Nobody has lived up to that yet.
But I didn't appreciate it for what he was giving me. Like, I remember there was a time I didn't really care for, like, Injustice. Remember Injustice? Yep. Right? It's a much more mature, much more graphic take on the Justice League, and they went in wild different directions. I didn't care for it. When I did start to read it, I accepted it, and that was mainly because they didn't touch the main Justice League comic. Those characters were still intact. Yeah. And it made me feel comfortable knowing, hey, you could play with them over here as long as I know they're still the same over here, right? You go do whatever you want over there. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm looking at Justice League and I've said, you know what? I don't really need this here. I could have that over there and just be happy with that. I look at it way differently. What they were doing and how it leans and borrows from the Injustice storyline. It borrows from Frank Miller, and I better understand the inspirations. Zack Snyder actually really did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from, and I get the disappointment with like Doomsday and the characterization and how the way they handled that, but he didn't do anything differently than what I've seen before. Marvel got me used to that idea with Civil War. I'm not going to get the real Civil War. I'm not going to get the grand scope of the Civil War. I'm going to get this watered down Sokovia Accords, just a couple of Avengers fighting each other Civil War. I'm not going to get the big scale Doomsday. I'm not going to get the whole him fighting across Metropolis for a month. I'm not going to get the whole.
You know, that's for different reasons, though. That's for different reasons.
Hold on. But what I am getting is a world building story, right? He's not just building one universe, he's building a multiverse at the same time. Going back after watching Justice League, Zack Snyder cut, seeing the nightmare scenes, going back and watching Batman v Superman and seeing the nightmare scene with Barry, it was very bothersome before, but in hindsight, it just seems like it was a good idea. I think like these movies, and this is where Zack Snyder falls, is his storytelling and pacing and where to put certain ideas. But if you were to be able to watch like Man of Steel and maybe Ultimate Cut and maybe his Zack Snyder's Justice League cut as one long 10-hour epic movie, it would almost seem like a cohesive story. He would be better episodic.
First of all, the bigger problem is you got to get rid of Chris Terrio. He has to go as a writer. He's not good. He's just not good.
Okay.
And one of the other issues.
Just don't bring back David Goyer.
I don't care. That's fine. Both of them could go. Both of them can go. So I definitely need better writing. Because I feel like Chris Terrio's writing is very dated. You know, the fact that we're still getting like cheesy one-line action hero lines and stuff is kind of like, all right, come on, man. Like, y'all can be better than that. You know, the comic book movie genre has evolved from 2005. You know, but outside of that, the other problem I have with Zack Snyder is the storytelling. Because he either needs to tell you a story in a long form, where he doesn't know how to edit himself, or he makes presumptions of the audience and lacks certain context.
Yes.
So, for example, he'll say, and here's the difference: like, there are literal plot holes. You know, there are things that even when he explains them, they don't make sense because he assumes the audience knows something that he never took the time to explain, even when he had more time to explain it. You had an ultimate, for example, let's go with Doomsday, right?
Yeah.
There was every time he does this thing that Star Wars does, which annoys the mess out of me. Star Wars will introduce something, show it on screen, we'll be like, how did we get here? How did we get here? And then they'll be like, oh, by the way, the Emperor was alive and he just did this and this and this. And I'm like, where in the movies did you explain that? Oh, it's going to be in a novel somewhere else. Yeah. You know, but Zack Snyder does that.
No, he doesn't.
Without the novels.
Well, what?
Because when it came to Doomsday, no, look, when it came to Doomsday and people was like, yo, that Doomsday didn't really look like, you know, the spiky traditional one. Like, what's going on? And he was like, oh yeah, by the way, the real Doomsday is like on the moon and, you know, he's not coming, or it was some other explanation that people were like, wait a minute, if I had never listened to your interview, I would have never known that. Fine. Let's just say
he was doing world building, right? He was planning on exploring these and other things.
Fine. But there's still other things, you know, because there's a difference. Like, I'll give you the world building aspect when Superman is in his pod, in his spaceship, and there was another pod open. You know, okay, that's an Easter egg for Kara.
Every single way that the characters were introduced in this take was way better.
There's a difference between giving us an Easter egg that we can wonder about versus simply not explaining something at all. So, for example, with Darkseid, technically, he wasn't even Darkseid. He was Euxis or whatever. And I'm sitting here like, if I'm an audience member, right? Because
how am I supposed to know that? Did they even say his name in the movie, Euxis?
No, that never comes up.
Right.
There's nothing to establish the fact that this
not
is
arguing
the
that
Darkseid before.
Not arguing that.
Powerful, but I'm saying this is the part of the problem, because it creates a plot hole, and the
Kind
plot
of,
still
kind
no
of.
no 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 it is a plot hole. And when I say plot hole, I'm talking about a logical contradiction within the narrative,
No, it's just
because
a narrative hole.
no, it's a it's a narrative
It
problem.
doesn't contradict. It
One
doesn't
way or another.
contradict
It's
anything.
it's either a contradiction or it's just a problem that's
Yeah.
not resolved. So when you sit here and tell me, hey,
So
that was really Euxis before he
that's
was
fine.
Darkseid,
But
fine.
hold on.
But
The whole thing
that
with
doesn't
Doomsday on the Moon
explain.
has
Hold on,
nothing to
hold
do
on. Let me
with
finish.
Batman
Let me
v
finish my point.
Superman, though.
But it doesn't explain why this man got beat up and why he forgot the planet that he was supposed to be on.
He kind of explained it, but it doesn't explain it in the
No,
movie.
this
He said
explanation
something
is
like,
enough. He said something like, "Oh, all the people around him died and all this stuff." That
"No,
does not
it was
explain.
millions of years ago. It was still when he was on his come up. He wasn't Darkseid yet. All the soldiers he had with him at that time that was helping
That's
him keep track of
stupid.
this shit.
That's stupid.
I'm not
Did
saying
nobody
that
have a
they don't.
notepad?
I'm not
Nobody had a
saying.
notepad.
Hold on. I'm
Nobody
not
was
saying
saying,
that
"Yo,
there's no suspension of
you got
belief,
your
right?
butt whooped on Earth."
I'm
Just
not saying there's no suspension of belief. There is, right? And that's a fair criticism, right? I'm not going to sit here and argue it. It's a fair criticism. However, what I was going to say was, as far as with Doomsday, yeah, I'm actually willing to give him a pass on Doomsday because he did his own idea of subverting an expectation, and it really wasn't the focus of what he was trying to do. I get what my expectation was. He was trying to do something else, and what he was trying to do, he was moving in a good direction.
no,
Um,
I don't give him a pass for that, because even his execution of the Doomsday thing. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that
Doomsday
you have
wasn't
to
meant
do.
to be Doomsday.
No,
Doomsday was just meant to be a method of killing Superman to further set up Darkseid, right? That was
sure,
really all that was.
sure,
So
which is
I
stupid,
get it.
but
I
okay.
get it. I liked it mainly
I
because
did not.
you know why? Because it's an adaptation of a story we've already seen,
No,
right?
that is not true. That is not
What?
true. The reason why I don't like it is because it robbed. Again, when you, I'm not saying that you have to have a classic
Payoff
punch
was
on
going to be
punch,
better.
huh?
The payoff was going to be better. What he had
No,
planned was going to be better
not
than
even,
that
not
little
even close.
Superman
Not
Doomsday
even
thing.
close. I mean, I think what would have happened, that would have made more sense, narratively speaking. You should have at least, in every iteration, and every iteration of Doomsday versus Superman does not follow the same path. Like, it follows the path of, obviously, Superman dies or whatever, but it's not communicated the same, right? It's not always,
No.
oh, one big punch and then they both die. That's it can have
Yeah.
variation. But the one thing that is critical about it,
Mhm.
the one thing, is the fact that whatever happens in their matchup, Superman is the one and only option left. That is it. That's the one central theme that Zack Snyder
So
actually did try to portray. He tried to put.
he did a better job
No,
by
he did not do a better
hold
job.
on, hold
He
on.
did
I was
not.
gonna say Justice League, his version did a better job of adding on to the view of Superman being that one person, right? He was the one person to help come step
For
against
that,
everything.
for
Well,
that,
more. They kind of
for the
set him aside as
Steppenwolf
to
and all that.
where his
Yes,
character stood in the pantheon.
yes,
He's up
yes.
there with the Greek gods, right? He's
Yes,
up
yes,
there.
for that. And I'm not
Yes.
opposed. I don't have a problem with that. I'm
Hmm.
okay if you sit here and say Steppenwolf, because you see what they did with Steppenwolf. What they did with Steppenwolf is exactly what they should have done with Doomsday. That's what Doomsday presents. Doomsday and
So
Steppenwolf should have been similar,
so
because
that's
oh,
a
no, I'm just saying, if you saw what Steppenwolf did, he
mhm.
ran through everybody. Even the
Yes.
people that gave him some problems, he still ran through them. And what happened? It created the situation where it was like, yo, the only way we could defeat him is with Superman.
So
That's all you had to do with
and
Doomsday.
I'm
They did not.
got no argument there because then that's different because that's an expectation we have of how we want the character handled and versus how he actually handles it. That's a fair criticism. I
I'm
wanted
just
him
saying, no,
handled
no, no.
this
I'm
way.
just saying
You handled
that
him
no,
that way.
no, 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 no. It has nothing to do with my expectations per se. What I'm
Yeah,
saying
that's like,
is,
yo, Doomsday should be like doing this.
no,
Like
no,
this is the
no,
Doomsday
here's
I
the thing.
expect.
I'm also trying to keep in mind his intention, because the one thing that is constant with Zack Snyder, I think everybody that watches his stuff
Hmm.
knows what he's trying to say. They
No,
know where he's going. They
no.
know most of the
That's
time
his
what
problem.
he's
That's his,
trying to
his
do.
storytelling
Well,
makes it horrible. Tell
no,
me
no,
what he was trying to do with Sucker Punch. I don't fucking know.
well,
I have no
I'm talking about
fucking
for
clue.
DC stuff. I'm talking about for DC. I don't want to get into the other stuff. But for DC things, I mean, we get it. You want to make Superman the Christ-like figure. We get it. You
No.
want to do drill into
wasn't
the
trying to make
theme.
him the Christ-like figure.
We get it that you want to drill into the theme of
What's that?
isolation, balancing his humanity and stuff.
James
We
Gunn
get those
Superman.
things. All those type
Movie.
of elements that Zack Snyder tries to go for, we understand the end road for him. The
Right.
problem is the fact that his path to get there is bumpy and he takes
Superman,
detours.
and that's the assumption that I had to get away from. This is not the Christ-like Superman, right? This is a very different Superman. This is more like the Brightburn Superman. This is like.
Are you saying that there were no symbolic connections to Christ?
So that's the thing, right?
Messianic symbolism.
Yes. So the way the people viewed and idolized him when he was showing up is a narrative that they were using in the story. However, the way the character behaved was not at all Christ-like, and he always said, like, you know, the way he acted was like very different than the way that he was portrayed in a Christ-like fashion before. He was nothing like Christopher Reeve, and that was intentional. And what I was trying to get at was like he had a storyline where he was trying to set up a time travel story, and I kind of said this in before. He was trying to give us a Superman that was damaged. He was trying to give us a Superman that didn't get the type of support that he needed to be that character we're talking about. And what he's showing us is a character that wears a darker shade of blue. He has a darker shade of red. He's a little bit more gothic, a little bit more mopey. He's doing heroic things, but he's not doing them for the reasons that we're expecting him to do them for. He's doing them for a whole other reasons. Like, well, Lois said to save these motherfuckers. So he's like.
Look, when I'm saying the Christ-like figure, I'm talking about up until Batman v Superman's ending.
But
after that,
like
the descent that you're talking about, that is when it starts to become
still a time travel story. And Barry, in my theory, was that Barry was supposed to go back in time at some point and fix it. This was all supposed to show us how this is a darker DC universe that got fucked up because Superman didn't get the nurturing he received. And they set it up so perfectly. If you rewatch Man of Steel, you see that moment where he should have saved his dad, Jonathan Kent, and he did it. That was the pivotal moment that he would have went up if his dad was still there to support him, and he went down instead. I really think that if he had gotten the opportunity to tell his whole trilogy, Barry was going to go back at some point, realize that it wasn't Lois Lane that was keeping Superman centered all along, or it wasn't what they needed to change. They needed to go back and save Jonathan Kent. And then the time travel story would have revealed itself, or the Flashpoint story, which I think he was going to adapt, would have revealed itself to correct things towards something closer to the DC universe that we wanted. I think he was trying to tell us a long adaptation of Injustice, Flashpoint, The Dark Knight Returns, and he was going to mix it all together with a time travel story and then fix it when he was done and be like, all right, I've had my fun with these characters. Here you go, J.J. Abrams. Go make Superman be Christ.
Maybe. I personally feel as though Zack Snyder gets the most amount of excuses and passes for him. It's ridiculous because nobody would give this much latitude to any other director. I don't know what other director has so many excuses for things that don't work. Like, and I'm not trying to disparage the reality of the real screwed up stuff that happened to him by the executive. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when this man actually has the opportunity to do what he wants to do. And he gets free reign. Ultimate Edition, my man had free reign.
Ultimate Edition was better.
It was better, but that's the thing.
I didn't finish it. I can't say if it's good yet. Let me finish it.
That's the running story with this. It's kind of like, yo, you had something trash and you just made it better. Like, and we always have to compare it to the trash.
I hear you. And I'm not. You know what's weird about it for me? Because I was that dude. I wrote off DC. I hated the DC universe. I hated Batman v Superman. I hated it. I walked out of Batman v Superman and I was like, I went to the concession people asking for a refund. Like, this is bull. Like, I was mad because I love Batman and Superman. I saw Justice League, I think, when it hit cable or something because I refused to give it money. For me to do an about face now, I feel like I was just wrong about the man. I don't know. I feel weird. I feel weird.
I judge I try to judge based off one thing that I've always done in terms of how I approach my criticism is, again, I tell you the very basics. The basics is a movie is art, and art at the end of the day, whatever form it takes, is a form
Mm-hmm.
of communication. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking about a form of communication, that means that you, as a filmmaker, as an artist, you are trying to tell me something. It is not for me to sit here and just guess what you're telling me. If you're trying to communicate an idea to me, if you're trying to sell me on something, that's on you to communicate it effectively. And the thing is, and this is no
Yes.
different, like if we're talking to someone who speaks broken English, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get it. Maybe you have some grammar mistakes here and there. We get that. But we understand, oh, you're looking for the bathroom. Oh, you're looking for some food. We get that,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, I'm like, bro, Zach,
So
you get to the point where you try and communicate an idea and it's so convoluted, it's so all over the place. It's like, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah, I understand your goal, but my goodness, can you cut like 50 minutes out of there?
as
Can you
somebody who tells long-winded stories, I'll give him a pass.
see? That, see, now you long-winded bias. That's long-winded bias. And don't get me wrong, I'm long-winded too. I can be that way, but I also know I take accountability for that.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm long-winded,
Zack
I'm like, you know
Snyder
what? Man, I need an
needs to
editor.
do
I need
a
an
Batman
editor.
movie.
I need an editor to help me out at times. Somebody to give me a fresh perspective from like an
I have an
editor's perspective.
intern over here in training.
Okay. Okay.
um, Zack Snyder needs to be assigned to other comic book movies. I actually think he
He
would
needs
be.
smaller properties. I think he'd be dope
Actually,
if he
you know
if
what?
he had
I think he's
Invincible.
actually
Put
yeah.
him in
I think
Invincible.
put him. I think he's actually really, really good with adapting comic book stories. I don't think we wanted his voice on Justice League, even though I think he was doing something really good. I don't think he was the
I
right voice people wanted.
He didn't need to be
But
the archetype. That's the
yeah, sure, the
architect. He
archetype.
didn't
Yeah,
need that much.
I don't
I
think
don't
people
have a
wanted that.
problem. I didn't have a
But
I
with
didn't have a
something
problem with
like
Man of Steel. Like when
dude,
he did Man of Steel, I was like,
I did.
okay.
I had a problem with Man of Steel because I didn't understand why he snapped Zod's neck. But
I didn't care about that.
going back to my whole damaged Superman thing, that makes perfect sense. It's a perfect storytelling. Like, yeah, perfect example of how to differentiate who we have versus what we should have had. But I think I agree. Invincible, The Boys, any
You
of
got to
those
give
mature
him something
stories,
small and contained.
we got to
That
give them something that we don't have expectations for. That's
that's.
really what it is.
But then again, I mean, like with Watchmen, I want to say like even
No,
though he
there
did
was
a really good
expectation.
job with Watchmen, when he changed the ending of it, I remember that there was backlash. Now, granted, I didn't care because I hadn't been invested in the comic at that point. So for me, I was just watching
Uh,
the movie like, yo, the movie looks good to me. Like it
I
was cool.
think he borrowed too much ideas from the exact comic, and I definitely think he took too many storytelling ideas from Frank Miller. He loves to do this thing now, and he did it throughout the Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. Something I noticed is he likes to use the newscasters to tell his story. So it was something that Frank Miller introduced in his comics a while ago. He would just have like a panel where like a newscaster is talking about something in the background, like oh Ronald Reagan is
Hmm.
fighting the Russians, or the nuclear attack, or even in the Watchmen they talked about everything that was going in with the superheroes around the world. He does that. He literally does that. Like I was watching Batman v Superman the other day. There's like 30 minutes of narrative being explained in the story, and before I didn't know why the
I
hell
mean, that's nothing new. Like people, that's a movie thing.
he does it badly though, or at least it's not
It's not
I didn't
smooth.
it's not smooth. I didn't get
Yeah.
the narrative.
Like
I remember the
usually
first time.
the best way to usually do it is like you show the main characters, but the stuff is happening in the background. You
I,
know.
I remember the first time I saw Batman v Superman, I could not wrap my head around why Superman was in court. I'm like, how the hell what the hell is going on? How is Superman in court? Well, why is this woman sitting here drinking grandma's sweet tea? What the fuck just happened? I had no idea what was going on. Then I rewatched the Ultimate Edition, and I'm listening to them talk about how the world is changing, and they were trying to introduce the idea, like, listen, in a real world, if you have some super being come out of the sky, really, how would the world really react, right?
Hmm.
Are they going to really sit here and look at this guy like, oh, he's this Christ-like figure, just let him run around and do shit? Or are you going to sit there and try to find measures of control? Are other nations going to be threatened? Are they going to try to figure out if this is a tool or an asset? Because we're going to try to take this and weaponize him.
Mm-hmm.
And as I watched it again, I'm like, you know what? This is kind of like how it might actually happen. So this is kind of a different, unique storytelling. I kind of like it.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
But it's just he just didn't do it elegantly. I don't know. I don't know if these are all plot holes or just one long-winded
It's
bad way.
Combination of all of it. That's the problem. Like, you have a mix of so many other issues. Like,
restore the Snyder verse.
No, like,
put it on HBO Max. Just let the man have his own universe on HBO Max. He don't get it wrong. Warner Brothers.
I don't even have a problem with that. Actually,
go to HBO Max.
I don't care. If they give him his own little sandbox to play in, that's fine. I don't know how the contract's gonna work. I don't know how that.
We got Harley Quinn in her sandbox, right? We got Titans in their sandbox. We've got Young Justice in their sandbox. Give this man a sandbox. Everybody's getting sandboxes.
Yeah, I mean, but then the other question is, like, if that ends up happening, I really wonder if that will finally be the end. Like, let's just say they give him his full Justice League 2 and 3. You know, and he finally finishes it. Then will the Snyder fans finally stop?
Maybe.
See, and that's the problem.
Let me ask you a question. Would you be interested in a Cyborg movie now?
No.
No?
Not anymore.
I mean, after initially watching Justice League, the first one, and then watching this new take on it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if the Cyborg movie was a little bit deeper of what we saw in the Snyder Cut, I would have wanted that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But if you're talking about like a follow-up Cyborg movie, no. But I was always okay with, like, the individual movies to build up the characters. I mean, that was a more organic process, and hopefully that would have actually kept the Justice League movie more focused on Darkseid and the bigger problems and the injustice stuff.
That's one thing I think was done a lot better, is making me interested in what they were setting up with these offshoot movies, right? Like the Zack Snyder version actually made me consider, like, yeah, I would watch a Cyborg movie. I would give.
Again, it's an unfair question because.
Same with the Flash. I didn't care about the Flash movie.
It's an unfair question because, like, I'm watching every comic book movie, period. Like, whether I'm excited for it or not. I mean,
I don't know.
You don't.
I don't watch
I watch every single one. If there's a comic book movie, animated or not, I'm watching it. I think I could count on one hand how many I haven't seen yet. I still got to watch that Joker and Batman in Japan one, but outside of that, like, I'm watching all of them. Now, what's gonna make me excited? I mean, show me a dope trailer, show me a dope concept, then okay, maybe I'll be excited for it or not. Because my thing is, like, I don't know a lot of Cyborg's backstory. Well, not backstory, but like his comic story, and I don't know how strong of a character he will be in a solo film outside of his origin story.
Don't make it solo. Do what they're doing with all the other movies now, right? Even Marvel's doing this. Nobody's doing solo. Pair them up.
Yeah, I mean that.
Right? Bring in the Titans. Bring in the Titans. Oh my God! If they bring in the Titans,
I think you would need that, right? Like, but even if you do that, I'm like, I don't think I want a Cyborg movie. I want a Teen Titans movie. I want a Titans movie.
That would be a Titans movie, right?
Like, if you're gonna say pair him up with, Robin and Beast Boy and stuff, I'm like,
bring in Tim Drake.
Bro. At that point, just give me the Titans movie. I don't need a Cyborg movie at that point. Just give me the Titans movie.
Say less. Take my money.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how excited I'd be for it, but it'd be whatever. I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Listen, restore the Snyderverse. I'm with it. Bring it to HBO Max. Don't bring it to theaters. I'm not going back to movies.
I don't know how you restore the Snyder. I mean, you're gonna have to recast Ray Fisher then. You're gonna have to. He already drew the line. I told you, this is one of the reasons why this is so messy. It's like, yeah, people are saying
his fault.
I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just stating the facts. I'm just saying the way this situation is, it's like a dirty, toxic relationship between a couple. Y'all had some fights, y'all cut each other up, y'all
Okay.
shot at each
Okay.
other.
Okay.
But hey,
Okay.
guess what? But guess what?
Recast Ray
Y'all
Fisher.
made up.
Okay.
Y'all made up.
Okay.
Y'all had some good therapy. But the thing is, the question that what Restore the Snyderverse is saying is, now y'all need to come back as a couple. No, you don't. No,
Okay.
you don't.
No.
You can actually just go your separate ways
No.
because
Just
of all the
recast Ray Fisher.
toxicity in the past.
Just recast Ray Fisher. We got rid of Terrence Howard. We could get rid of. We got rid of Terrence Howard.
Ooh, that's
we could
bogus.
get rid of Ray Fisher.
That's bogus. I'm just saying that's bogus. Like,
I mean, what are they gonna do? Retire the character? We don't want that.
no, we
don't
don't.
want them
I'm
to
just
do that.
no, I'm just saying it'd be bogus to recast him after. I mean, let's not even compare this to T'Challa. I mean, the man's not dead. I'm just saying, the man is not dead. You know.
I just said recast. I just said Terrence Howard.
I'm just saying. No, well, Terrence Howard had creative differences. You know, he wanted more. You know, Ray Fisher's like, I don't like who y'all got in Walter Hamada.
We're not seeing the eye to eye. Let's part ways.
I think that's what needs to happen.
No. I meant with
Ray
Fisher. I meant Ray Fisher. No, recast Ray Fisher.
Okay, so now the question is Zack Snyder okay with that? Because Zack Snyder is a very loyal guy. He is he supported Ray Fisher. He stands with Ray Fisher. He stands with everybody else on the cast. He even stands for people that weren't even in his movies, like Jared Leto. So
I can see that. I can see that being an issue. So I'm
just saying all of this is too messy.
I don't know how to make it.
Don't like WB. WB is standing with they people.
No.
Zack Snyder likes
the answers.
I mean, Zack Snyder supports Ray Fisher. It's like, who's gonna budge with all these standoffs?
Listen, just figure it out, right? Figure it out. Just go, put on your big boy pants and figure it out.
All this figure it out stuff. The easiest answer is to just stop.
No.
And just do something else. That's literally the easiest
on the
answer.
Table. Figure it out.
This is the
figure it out.
Answer.
When
you say figure it out, what are you talking about? The figure it out we're too deep into it. It's too deep. It's too deep.
Figure it.
I don't know what you want them to figure out when the stakes are too deep. This isn't fresh. We're talking about an actor that has already made a proclamation of I will not work. And you see how tenacious he is and consistent. I'm not there if Walter Hamada is there. You see WB go out their way and say, hey, WB, Walter Hamada, we got your back. You also see the Warner Media CEO say, we're not doing this.
I'm not
knocking care if this
figure
is
it out. Figure it out.
They've already made the decision.
Figure it out. Change your mind. Figure it out.
I don't know how you change your mind when they've gotten that deep into it.
They got to figure it out. That's not on us to come up with the answers. I said they need to answer it, right?
I think the individual parties have already made up their minds.
Man, I don't care. Figure it out. Make it happen.
Whose mind do you want to change? You gonna change Ray Fisher's mind? You gonna change WB's mind on Walter?
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Put your big boy pants on. Whatever it takes. Get that money. Get that bag. Warner Brothers, y'all hear me? Get that bag. There's a bag on the table. Figure it out.
Okay. Hey, Ikencina, figure it out. Work it out.
Yup. Yeah. Get in that room. Close the door and don't come back out that room until you two are friends.
Black eye or not. You just figure it out.
Hash that shit out and come back in love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see you two again until this is over.
You come out with the best love.
You never had that happen to you as a kid, like your parents, you fought with the kid. Now you two sit there and figure that shit out. No?
No.
All right, my parents are rough. We'll see. All right, well, that's all I really have for this week. I was going to talk baby about Armie Hammer. I really don't care.
I don't either.
I really don't. I hope he gets canceled.
I don't care.
I never even saw his movies. I can't name one Armie Hammer movie.
I remember one he was in Man.
I know something he was supposed to be in.
There was a thing with him and Henry.
He was in
Henry
Justice
Cavill.
League Mortal.
No, he was in the one with Henry Cavill.
He was also in one with Johnny Depp. I think he was like the Lone Ranger or something.
What was it? Man of something? Man from somewhere. I forget. He was okay. He was okay. I mean, Armie Hammer is like the most vanilla, plain Jane actor. Like he's an
He's like
actor.
a watered
You,
down Ryan Gosling, I heard.
he's close. I mean, you can put Armie Hammer in any movie, and you probably won't recognize that it's him, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, he's been in all these movies," because he's not memorable, but like he's not terrible either. Like he's a good actor, but he's just there's nothing. I don't know. He doesn't have that it factor where like he leaves a significant imprint on a movie to me. But Man from Uncle, that's it.
Man from Uncle.
Yeah.
I don't see
And he
enough.
was cool. I liked him in there, but again, he was nothing that I was like, dang, Army, you know. Like, I mean, Henry Cavill was like.
I don't understand why they kept casting him. He's so.
That's the thing. Like he blends in. You know what I'm saying? Like
He's tall. He's 6'5".
That's the thing. Like he's the generic, I'm assuming above average, good looking white guy that you could just throw in any movie.
He was in The Social Network.
You didn't even know it, did you? That's what I'm saying. Like you gonna see all these things, you be like, who was he? He was like, oh, number 3 on the roll call. Oh, he was number 4 on the roll call. You know.
He's in Entourage.
See.
Birth of a Nation.
Yes, he was in Birth of a Nation. He was a slave master that got killed.
Yo, whatever. I won't miss him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like he's not like, you know, this isn't like Johnny Depp, you know, or somebody, you know, with way more name recognition.
I'm gonna miss Johnny Depp. I understand why he's getting.
We'll see what happens.
But I'm gonna miss him.
We'll see. I don't know if it's really canceled. I
miss some canceled people. I get why they get canceled, but I miss Mel Gibson.
He's still around. He ain't going nowhere.
Not to the capacity.
We was actually supposed to talk about cancel culture. We were supposed to talk about that.
Yeah, we could talk about cancel culture. It's appropriate when it's appropriate, right? There's times when you're supposed to do it.
I feel like there's some people that should be I think there's levels to all these things, especially in life. Like there's always levels in life.
Yeah.
I feel like cancel culture or cancel whatever should be reserved for the most extreme stuff, right? Harvey Weinstein's definition of cancel culture. Like you have to cancel everything and all things related to Harvey Weinstein.
We had to cancel Bill Cosby too.
Right. Yes. But I'm saying like you have to cancel it because a lot of the stuff that he's built up, like his life is a culture that should be canceled.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was part of, probably still happening, a culture in Hollywood of, hey, sleep with me and then you get this, and like everything this dude stood for and everything he built up was based off this terrible lifestyle. So therefore, yes, he needs to be canceled.
Yes.
But when you look
Armie
at
Hammer,
you know, but when you look at like to my knowledge, I haven't followed it enough, so I can't. When
should someone get canceled? Should be like on site?
No, I feel like people should get canceled when things have been proven, when when we've gone through an investigation, you know, witnesses come forward, evidence is presented. Like when it's like beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's when we need to be. Now, if it's like an accusation, this is why I'm more of a fan of timeout culture. I'm more a person where I'm like, yo, let's do timeout culture, whereas you on hold. Okay, so you got accusations. You need to be on hold until we can sort that out. Let's figure it out. Has
cancel culture ever gotten it wrong? Have like they ever canceled somebody and then was like, "Oops, shit, that was my bad." That's the thing.
That's
so
like, but I don't know. Kevin Hart.
People get canceled.
Would it be Kevin Hart because he was supposed to be canceled for a little bit, but then he like went on this apology tour and came back. But that's
a different type of cancel. He got canceled because he cheated, right? He was infidelity.
But this is saying
sexual abuse allegations.
No. He was canceled because of his homophobic jokes.
Oh yes.
But I was
that really canceled or was he just fired?
That's what I'm saying. That's why he should be on timeout. You know what I'm saying? Like it should be like, hey, yo, you messed up. Even if it was in your past, you messed up. I'm gonna need you to go to the corner, think about what you did, what you said, maybe come back with an apology. And then we can ingratiate you back in. and I'm
That's the
cool with that. I'm
that's
okay
the
with
weird
people.
thing about cancel culture, right? Because so here's where I don't know. It's a little controversial because social times evolve. What's expected of us evolves, right? I remember when
Yes.
I was a little kid, I used to watch this show called The Wonder Years. You ever see that
Uh-huh.
with Kevin
Barely.
Arnold
Yeah.
and his brother
I
Wayne?
would tune in.
And I remember his brother Wayne would always tease him. And I remember one time he's sitting there and he's really getting into his brother Kevin. He's beating him up. He's like, "Stop acting like a fucking faggot." And I was like, he said that back then, and that was
Right.
okay. It was
It
on
was okay
daytime.
back then.
It
Yeah.
was on primetime television,
Yeah.
right? But now, if you say that word, it's not
It's the new
acceptable.
F word. It's the new
Yeah.
F word.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, when you cancel someone for something that they said back in a socially acceptable time, and I'm not saying like, you know, not Weinstein. I'm talking about when comedians say something
Right.
that was comedic at the time and
Sure.
acceptable, and you criticize them for it now. That's a little too far, right? I think
I
that
look,
that shouldn't
I
be the same.
agree. I agree with that, especially when it comes to comedy, because comedy is something that evolves all the time.
And
Like,
they're always insensitive.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you have to think about it as in even back in the day during actually, I don't even want to talk for black folks in that case, but
Oh,
there
talk
was a
about George
point.
Carlin or Don
Well,
Rickles.
no, I was gonna go back even further and be like, yo, there was a time when minstrel acts were
Mm,
probably considered funny. Like black folk
big
or
deal.
white folks in blackface might have been funny. I don't know if they were funny to all black people. Maybe there was one or two that laugh. I don't know. But today we like, yo, that's not right. That's not cool.
Yes.
So it's one of those things. But at the same time, I think that while we have cancel culture and we have timeout culture, I think
Yes.
that we also need to have accountability, right? Like
Hmm.
or consequences. Like if you are found out to do certain things, I'm okay with people having consequences. Like maybe, like
Yeah.
your thing was like really egregious and it was a problem, but it was like a moment. It wasn't something like a lifestyle. Then yeah, you might need to have a certain consequence. I don't know what that is. I think every single case, whether it's
Hmm.
Harvey Weinstein to Kevin Hart to Kevin Spacey to
Hmm.
Mel Gibson, everything needs to be treated individually, case by case
Yes.
basis. I do not believe in like, well, because we canceled Harvey Weinstein, we gotta cancel this other person too. Look, unless their actions were very similar to the same, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I have to look at everybody individually and then be like, okay, once I assess what happened, that's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do. And I think at the end of the day, if we really being real, that's the measure of judgment we want on us too. Like if you were caught up with some mess, you wouldn't want to be just lumped in with the
No.
worst of the worst. You want people to be like, yo, let's
Mm.
go through my case, let's go through my testimony, let's go through whoever witnesses, let's go through whatever evidence and really hash this out so
Hmm.
that way I can prove my innocence. Or
It,
if I am guilty, like you really got to bring it to prove that I'm guilty. That's the way it should be.
I'm with you on this. Cancel culture needs rules of engagement, right? We need a charter to follow as to how we engage, how far we go with it,
Yeah.
and when to like completely cancel
But
someone.
here's the
What
other
we're
thing.
doing right now is wild wild west. This shit
No,
is
no, no,
crazy.
no. It is. It is. But the question now is like, how do you do these rules of engagement in alignment when you have other groups like the Me Too group, the Me
Yo,
Too
we
movement?
could we could start with the basics, okay? There's no reason on earth to be canceling cartoon characters, right? There's no way. There's no reason Pepe Le
Yeah.
Pew
I mean, like,
needed to
no,
be canceled.
Pepe is a problem.
So Pepe's characterization before was a problem. You can write him
Right.
differently. He could be a
No,
different
you
character.
can. No, that's the thing. Like you can. I mean, here's the thing. You could clearly go back and just do what Johnny Bravo did because Johnny Bravo was doing the same thing that Pepe Le Pew was doing. The only difference is he had consequences for his actions,
Yeah,
right? So as a kid, you could sit here and watch Johnny Bravo and be like, I don't want to be like that because
because he's gonna get
per-
slapped. He's gonna get
people
beat
are gonna
up. They're gonna
slap
throw an
him and they're
anvil
gonna
at him.
hit him and they're gonna call him a jerk and all. Like that's not the way to go,
Yeah,
right? So, but Pepe Le Pew, like, nah, I don't know who was looking
yeah.
up to Pepe Le Pew, but some people might look at him and be like, especially younger minds, be like, oh, this is how to express love.
Yeah.
Like he just loves this cat with a white streak. He loves them. That's the way to show love. And it's kind of like there's nothing there to kind of be like, no, it's not. Like he's actually harassing. Like that's the part that if we were to redo it,
redo it, reinvent him. Don't be mad at the character. Be mad at the writers. They're the one who wrote him that way, right?
And here's the thing: we all laughed back in the day. And we all laughed.
It was funny then.
Yeah, we were not.
Don't cancel him. Don't cut him out of Space Jam. Like, whatever. That mean, like, you're missing the point.
Actually,
if you feel like
not even just the point. You're missing the opportunity. That would be a great opportunity to be like, hey, see this character that used to do this messed up behavior. Yes. Now, this is the way that we treat them. Like, hey, even if somebody were to like treat Pepe Le Pew, Lola Bunny. Like imagine if she was the one to like treat him and be like, hey, what you're doing is like this and that. And she calls the police.
Take him in a room and just throw hands on him. And
no, I'm just saying, like, what if they just call the police on him and be like, you going to jail for harassment?
Sorry, I'm Yeah, right. Just throw his ass in jail.
Like that's a good. That would be a good way for people to be like, oh, his behavior was problematic.
So, there's definitely opportunity to turn things around. Cancel culture needs rules of engagement. We need some sort of organization as to when to just cancel and when to use an opportunity to correct. I was reading online the other day, and this one threw me off for a loop. I didn't even know how to take this one. They really out here trying to cancel Master Roshi.
I see, and even that I wouldn't do, only because there was consequences for his stuff too. Like he would get hit. He would be called a pervert. He was like
extreme.
It was
literally
extreme, but
stealing women's underwear and sniffing them in the cartoon.
Yeah, but he was called out for it. I mean, that's the thing. It's not a problem to depict things as long as because like if you're for example, it's a problem if you show a racist person without consequences. Like a person just saying things like, in the Wonder Years. When the brother saying like the F word, but nobody checks him on it. But if you have people showing the fact that like, yo, what you're doing is wrong, that is all you need. That's the counterbalance to it. Because if that's the case, where do you draw the line in censorship? So you're just not gonna show any type of problematic behavior at all? Like, no, that's when it goes too far. It's fine to show it as long as you demonstrate that it actually is a problem, and maybe through consequences, maybe as a teachable moment, but you have to at least show the other side of it. You can't just be like, we're never going to show anything that is. Now, there are some things, I agree, that just don't need to be seen anymore, or you need to at least forewarn people. So the Dr. Seuss thing, I think, it was either Dr. Seuss or something like that, but basically they canceled a couple of their books because they just had really racist depictions.
Now, Dr. Seuss said some stuff,
I mean, he did, but I'm just saying, like, there were some pretty bad depictions of Asian people, Black people, Indian, Native American.
So the same thing with Dragon Ball, right? Because Dragon Ball is in the same boat, right? They were wildly racially insensitive, right? Everybody talks about that thing about Dragon Ball Z, about how they took the Asian guy and when he becomes his better self, his super self, all of a sudden he's blonde haired and blue eyes. Yeah, that stuff.
I forgot what the explanation for that was, but yeah.
Whatever.
I think it was like it was easier to draw.
What?
Or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Bull.
No, I agree. I mean, that's always been problematic to me. Like, really? Like, this is what y'all this as an Asian community, this is what man, white supremacy got y'all messed all the way up.
Don't get me started. All right, I almost started to. Yeah, Dragon Ball is part of the cancel culture. It's Master Roshi's next. I'm sorry, you just said that and my mind immediately went to that stupid
George Floyd. Because you used to do the Dragon Ball stuff. I know.
No, my mind went to George Floyd trial.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a whole nother.
I know.
I'm waiting for the George Floyd movie. I'm waiting for that.
I'm waiting for the verdict. That's all I'm waiting for.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Anyway,
that later.
All right. Cancel culture. What was I saying? Master Roshi. Yeah. We need rules of engagement. Um, they are going too far. I don't lost all my train of thought.
I mean, I think we're good.
Yeah. Um, Shit, I gotta find a better way to close it. But yeah, all those things that were acceptable, all those things that aren't acceptable now, just gotta find a better way to handle it. Get these rules of engagement, figure out how and when to cancel people and what the appropriate action is. These people do need to be held accountable for certain
For
things, like
sure.
Harvey Weinstein's. But yeah, let these comedians go. Let them talk.
Yeah.
Armie Hammer,
Agreed.
we'll miss you. Johnny Depp, mm, it's not looking good, bro.
See, and that's the other thing. Like, I don't want to comment on things that I haven't taken the time to really dig into. You know, like I haven't followed the Johnny Depp story. I don't
I
know
know a
all
little
the
bit.
details, so I'm like, I'm
So
not
I
even.
know a little bit. He married Amber Heard, right? And from what I do know, what little bit I do know is that within, I think it was like within the first week of their marriage, there's video of her making out with Elon Musk in an elevator going up to his house for the night.
Wow.
All right, so Amber Heard is like got some serious allegations thrown at her,
Wow. I
trying to
didn't
see
even know
about
about that.
infidelity. He's talking about like, listen, within the first week of our marriage, you were driving me nuts. You
Mm,
drive me crazy. I'm cutting my finger off or some shit. Just trying to deal with your insanity and try to find some sanity in myself. And these people are already off kilter, right? These
mm.
actors, they're not
They're
all
not regular people.
they're not regular people.
No.
So he was definitely triggered. He was definitely trying to cope with her, and she's got some stuff she that he suffered through with her. So like, but then she's got that case where she says he hit her based
Yeah.
off as a response to her actions, and that's
Right.
not okay, right?
No.
At all. It's a weird situation, right? Because I see the double standard in this cancel culture.
Hmm.
I think I talked about this a couple times, like how we have the double standard where we're ready to cancel Johnny Depp, but Chris Brown got it passed because he released a hot song, and
I
that
mean, I don't know because Chris Brown was canceled for a minute though.
yo,
He was
that's
canceled for
not
a
what
minute.
canceled is. That's a timeout,
Oh no, I agree. I
right?
agree with you.
My
I
man,
agree.
be
But then again, to be fair, he did say the right things. Like he came
yo.
out and was like, "Yo, I went to therapy. Yo, I did all this, and like I'm just saying, he went through the motions. I don't know if
I
he
feel
really
like
changed.
I
I don't
feel
know
like
that, but
he beat the breaks off Rihanna. It wasn't even like she had one black eye.
I agree.
She got the shit
Yeah,
beat out of her.
I agree.
And then I just look at it like, what if that was my sister? What if that
No,
was
I
my
mean, look,
daughter?
there's no
Would
look,
I
there's
is
no
there
question.
any measure of time that can go by where I'll be like, all
There's
right,
no question about it.
you're
There's no
off
question. I
timeout.
mean, look, it to me, I kind of look at it like the Michael Vick thing, right? Like, because to this day, you still
My
got
man's still
people.
canceled.
I mean, from animal lovers, like people that are
Yeah.
like, hey, I value a animal's life over human life. Yeah, they are still canceling Michael Vick,
Mhm.
even though he did the time. Literally, he did the time, and he's gone above and beyond even that. I mean, the fact that this man not only went to jail, served his time, but also went out, did public speaking events against his actions to warn people against it. He's donated money. It's almost he's apologized like 5 million times. It's
Mhm.
kind of like, what more do you want any human being to do to show contrition? And it's kind of like, you know, I don't know where the line is for people. So for me, that's why I'm sitting here talking about like with Chris Brown. I mean, the man did his little apology tours, he did his little
Not the
interviews and
same.
stuff.
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
saying it's the same. I'm not saying it was acceptable for everybody. I'm just saying like every situation is going to call for a
So
different course of action or reaction, and sometimes it's going to be enough for people, sometimes it won't.
I'm gonna abstain from an opinion until we get the facts, but I will say this: if Johnny Depp does get canceled, I'm gonna miss him. Like I'm gonna miss him a lot.
Hmm.
Don't do that, man. This man has done.
I'm just saying, I don't know if I will. I mean,
You know
like,
what? I've been watching Johnny Depp since 21 Jump
look,
Street.
I have too. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not, I don't have, I'm not criticizing the man's talent. what
I
I'm
like
saying is his
movies.
role selection has not made me excited to go to movies.
Sure.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
So
when you
that's
say
reason,
like you're
right?
gonna miss him,
Yeah.
I'm
So
like I
because
don't know if I'm gonna miss him because the last 3 pirate movies that he did, I didn't care for. The last couple movies he's been in, I'm kind of like, eh. Like yes, you can act, but the role
so
selection is kind of iffy.
his role selection has gone down, right? I'm assuming he was doing better with whatever he's doing with Harry Potter. Those people kind of
His
appreciated him.
role was good, but the movies were terrible. The movies are not that good.
I don't watch those movies.
No, you're literally you're not missing anything. Like
He
the
was
first
Murder in the Orient Express,
the
wasn't
first
he?
movie was okay. Second movie was like
Was
Orient Express one. That was the movie was cool. It was cool, but it's like it wasn't Johnny Depp's movie. He
yeah.
was just another one of the man can act. He knows how to
I
act. He
know.
knows how to
It's just
change
that he's been
character.
getting bad movies. I'm curious to see him in his new movie about the Biggie and Tupac murders, but I think I'm the only one.
Yeah, wasn't he like a detective or something in that one? Something
He's
like
he's been trying to push this movie since Biggie and
I
Tupac died.
remember it for a long time. Like it was something like he was gonna be one of the detectives, and
Yeah,
you know,
investigating why their
yeah,
murders were never solved, and he
yeah.
kept saying like people kept gaslighting him throughout the entire investigation.
Mhm.
Um, and he's like the only person in Hollywood who's willing to push this narrative, this story. And he's like, yo, well, what the hell is wrong with you? Black people love these rappers. Let's make some money. And nobody wants to touch it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, before he started doing before Pirates of the Caribbean, and I know I'm going back like 10 years, I loved all his role selection.
Yeah, same.
Right? Him in
Same.
The Tourist.
Oh yeah, I'm saying I don't think he's blockbuster anymore. You
Yeah.
know, like he's one of those actors. Again, he can act, but he's not blockbuster. I mean, you
But
know
he
who's
could get
very
back to
similar,
it.
but you know who's very similar to him is
What?
maybe not on the same level, but it reminds me of John Cusack. There was a point in time where John Cusack, if he had a movie, you was going out to go see it,
Yeah.
mainly because he was a good actor and the movies happened to be really good. But then after a while, it was kind of like he kind of lost the juice.
I was gonna say he could be like Michael Keaton though, and get a renaissance later in life,
He could
right?
because Michael Keaton never stopped being a bad actor.
Right.
You know, like it's just some of the movies he was in just didn't take off. You know,
Right.
yeah. Classic one you should watch though. I don't even remember if it was good, but I remember liking it. White Noise.
I like Multiplicity.
Did you
White
watch White
Noise.
Noise? Yeah, it's a horror slash kind of movie, but it's a Michael Keaton movie. I felt like it was very underrated. I don't think a lot of people saw it, but it was actually a pretty decent.
I heard of it. I remember seeing it released, but I definitely didn't watch this.
Yeah,
Nobody was checking for Michael Keaton then.
not then. By the way, and this is random. Frailty with Matthew McConaughey. Oh my God, I don't remember anyone talking about it, but I remember when I watched that movie. This was back when like Blockbuster, home video, you'd be going down the aisles and you're like, yo, what is this? And you find that joint and you like, yo, this is a whole gem. Like I hit the jackpot on 99-cent Tuesday, whatever. So Frailty. That is
Frailty.
it's an interesting movie. It's not, don't look nothing up about it. Just pop it in and
Look,
watch.
I'm still stuck on White Noise.
White
There's a
Noise
part
is
two.
decent.
There's a White Noise too.
Get out of here. Who's in it? It's got to
Who's
be
in it?
off-brand actors.
Katie Sackhoff, Nathan Fillion, Adrian Holmes.
Get out of here. Oh, I'm about to watch that. I'm about to find that. That's cool.
Yeah. They got an okay cast.
I like Katie Sackhoff. She is like the what is it, Djokovic?
Jovovich, yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of like her in terms of like when she's dedicated to something, she will really go into it. Like she's a fan of sci-fi, comic book, like Katie Sackhoff, man. I have to put her on my list of people to meet. She is the female version of Carl Urban. She is the female version. Like, because Carl, he will go in on whatever role and put respect on that character's name. When I saw this man do Judge Dredd, and was like, no, we ain't taking off the helmet because Judge Dredd don't take off the helmet. Like, this man, crown this man. This man is a national treasure to the comic book movie community.
I appreciate him for that.
Mila, Katie, and Carl are like on my Mount Rushmore of comic book movie actors who like really go out their way.
Carl Urban is like one of those underappreciated actors for the past 20 years.
My man, he is up there. He's by far my favorite comic book movie actor, just because of how much he
I like how much range he has. You know, ever since the first time I saw him come out in the movie, and he's like, "Riders of Rohan, this way," and he's yo.
I'll give you one movie. Go watch The Loft.
The Loft.
The Loft.
Have I seen The Loft?
I don't know, but that's a good movie to watch with Carl Urban.
I've seen that. I think I've seen that one.
It was good. It was good. It had other actors in there too. I forget who, but Carl
Wentworth
Urban.
Miller was in it.
Okay.
You're like, who's Wentworth Miller?
No, I probably know him by face.
Prison Break.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yes, that guy. James Marsden was in it too.
Yep, James Marsden's in it too. It's a dope movie. Like it's a cool. That's another one of those like, yo, 99-cent Tuesdays. Oh, okay. You know, like you found it somewhere and you watch it. You're like, wow, this was surprisingly good. But it got no like if streaming was around back then, it would have been a hit on Netflix. Definitely.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of movies now that I think about it would have been so dope had streaming been around back then. Streaming is really giving life to a lot of movies that normally we get zero play.
It's tough because normally it's easy. I remember just like 2 years ago, anything video on demand, just ignore it, right? It's easy. Just ignore it.
It's whatever on demand for a reason.
Right. John Travolta, that's where you go to live with your movies now. Tommy Lee Jones, Nicolas Cage, video on demand. That's where you are. That's where I go when I go to my poor friend's house and we watch your movies. Okay.
Right. It's true.
I'm sorry. I just dissed my poor friends, but it's true. That's where we go to watch their movies. And but now. It's like because of COVID, I'm giving all these movies a shot, yo. Everybody gets a shot.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a shot.
You know, right? I mean, yo, I gave Jiu-Jitsu a shot with Nick Cage. Dear God, that movie was terrible.
I haven't seen a Nick Cage movie since 2012, and I think that came out in 2012.
Don't add this one. The last one that I saw from him that I think was decent, it was either Premonition or
I remember that one. Where you can see the future.
Yeah. So it was either Premonition or it was The Wicker Man. Because I had never seen the original Wicker Man.
The one where he's a gun seller?
No, that's not it. I know what you're talking about, but not that one.
The other one was Knowing. Knowing came out in 2000.
Knowing, I think, was also a Premonition one, wasn't it?
He had more than one?
I don't know.
I'm thinking of Lord of War. War.
Yeah, you're thinking Lord of War. I never saw that. I didn't care to see that.
I love Lord of War. I love The Family Man. Yo, Nicolas Cage, City of Angels, man.
Hey, there was a time he was the man. There was a time he was the the 90s when this man did Face Off in The Rock right after back in Con Air. He was dominant. Like he was Tom Cruise level.
Yeah. Okay. I wish he never had tax problems.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Ever since the tax problems, yo. Next thing you know, he's doing stuff like Left Behind.
I like Left Behind. Just the concept of it.
Season of the Witch and
that was bad.
Right. But yeah, it's because of his tax problems. He got into tax problems and he started taking crappy movies, and after that, his career just never recovered. He went from doing like 8mm and
8mm. I remember that being. I think that was good.
It was really good. 8mm was really, really good about the serial killers.
Yeah.
People who watch snuff films and stuff.
Yeah,
that was
I thought it was pretty good, but like that was back in the day where my man, like everything he touched was like
He had
You knew
good
you knew
film
he had
selection.
good selection,
Yeah.
and you knew he was gonna bring it. Like you knew he was gonna bring, whatever needed to be brought to the table. But
He tried to resuscitate his career with Ghost Rider, man. He really did.
I mean, Ghost Rider wouldn't have been bad if. And to be honest, I don't know. I need to revisit Ghost Rider because
No,
I
you
know
don't.
it gets a bad rap. That's the
No,
thing.
you
It gets
don't.
a bad rap. But like, when did it come out? Like in the 2000s,
2007.
2007. So I think I was in college at that point. So this is a 20-something-year-old me watching it. I'm pretty sure my expectations for movies back then were a lot lower. I mean, we were coming fresh off of what, Spider-Man 3 a couple years prior to that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and we had the what, we were on our second Avengers, no,
In
second
2007?
Fantastic Four movie
Yeah.
by around that time. So
We
I
were
think
we
the
were getting
bar
abused, right? We had
the
some
bar
bad
was
X-Men
very low. It
movies.
was very low. What, Blade 3 had came out, what, 2003 or something like that.
It was a low point.
This was like one of those low points. So I remember watching Ghost Rider and I was like, okay, like, all right, like, if this is what y'all giving us, this is what y'all
I
giving
was
us.
as I felt that way about Ghost Rider too, and I was like, Idris
Idris was in that.
in Ghost Rider 2, yeah.
Oh, in two. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
in Ghost Rider
I
2.
thought you meant like in one. I was like, wait, what? No.
No,
Oh
no.
yeah,
One.
two was bad. And I felt like Nick Cage was getting too Nick Cagey at that point. Like there were too many moments where I was like, okay, you purposely asked for a scene where you could just go crazy, just so you could wild out, and you're doing too much.
I think that was the
It had the
directors. Those
potential.
directors had
It had the potential.
a style they were going from. But
Yeah.
you know what? He also had National Treasure. That's why I'm like,
National Treasure was good. Like,
it was so good.
Yeah, both of them were good. I mean, like, but the thing is, that's back in the day when,
That was 2004.
right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's coming off of the heels of the Mummy. Remember, the Mummy was like the Mummy 1 and 2. Whoo, the Mummy was doing numbers. Like, I remember
Love the Mummy.
that was blockbuster.
Why
And then
did Brendan Fraser get canceled?
I don't think he got canceled. I think he actually had some health issues. Honestly, I mean, I don't think that's been communicated, but it's like when you hear him talk and stuff, it sounds like, I don't know if he had a stroke or something, but he sounds, like he talks in like a slow manner, and and then I don't know, people were there was some viral video of him like clapping really weird or something. Like he was clapping like this, like that. It was just something weird, like that or something like that. I don't know, but if you look it up, a Brendan Fraser clap,
Yeah.
It's something awkward.
I haven't seen Brendan Fraser since The Mummy 3.
Yeah. I mean, no, he was still on Journey to the Center of the Earth or something like that.
I didn't see Journey to the Center.
I didn't either, but at that point it was kind of like, okay, you're the adventure dude, like, and it looked like he started gaining some weight, and I don't know, what happened to him, but like I said, I feel like it must have been health related or something, and
that looked like he was just drunk. That clap, I saw that clap. He just missed his hand and was I don't know. A couple too many to drink.
I'm not putting too much stock into that. Like I said, I was more concerned when I saw him come back and I saw him like talking and it sounded like he was struggling, and like I was like, yo, bro, like what happened to you? Like, but from what I researched a little bit anyway, it sounded like nothing. He just took a break from Hollywood. I guess the pressures was too much or whatever, and that was it. But he's back working now. He's back. He's doing like little TV things here and there. I think he's on a TV series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's still working.
Professionals.
He's just
in
not
Doom Patrol. He's in Doom Patrol.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's like the robot or something.
In Titans, he's the robot in both Titans and Doom Patrol. I guess they're in the same universe.
I don't know. I guess.
I don't know.
That's the one series like the live action DC stuff. I haven't really gotten into. I'm only
I
watching.
should.
I mean, I'm only watching the Flash right now.
Yo,
That's about it.
I love the Flash, but I've heard great things about Titans. I'm about to start season 7 of the Flash, though. You just reminded me.
I haven't even.
I don't know
We're still. Me and my daughter are still on like season 4, so we're playing catch up.
What's that with the Thinker?
Yeah, I love him. He is great.
He is so good. That actor is good.
Which one?
Which one, right?
All of them. The main guy. Yeah, the main guy.
One.
I just, to me, because the first 3 seasons was all him against other speedsters, and I'm like, come on, man, get out this mirror villain stuff. And now that they finally got somebody that can do outthink you stuff, and like I'm at the part where he has everybody's powers now, so I'm like, okay, Barry, what you gonna do, bro? So yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that. Like it's so much better than Arrow, and I know it's a little unfair. I know it's unfair because Flash came after, but man,
it's the Arrowverse, even though
I mean, like I was Arrow, like because at first my daughter was like about to watch it, and I was like, wait a minute, because I don't know if Arrow's all that appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
So I started watching it first, and I was like, okay, like I could see how, because nothing else was around, it was decent, and because people was hyping Arrow up when it first came out, people was really,
it was Batman,
right? Because he was the one to be Batman. But when I'm looking at Arrow now, like in hindsight of everything that I know in Flash and everything, I'm like, it's not that good. Like it's actually very boring,
Yo,
like I'm still on season like 3, I think, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like I don't even want to finish it.
I would switch.
I don't
go watch Legends of Tomorrow.
I was thinking about doing that. Because the crossover events, when they would show the crossover episodes, they would show you things and they kind of spoil like whatever's going on in the show.
Legends.
Yeah, but I was like watching Legends. I was like, oh, yo,
kind of interested.
Wait a minute. The chick that died in Arrow, she's alive? I was like, well.
And she was hiding.
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
Kid Flash.
Is he in Legends?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Reverse Flash.
I haven't watched any Legends.
So they make Legends like the Suicide Squad a little bit, and then when they recruit the Reverse Flash, I love the way they handled the Reverse Flash in that series.
Oh, don't tell me about it. I mean, I'll watch it eventually.
No. I mean, just in the first season of the Flash, like the way DC handles their villains
is fantastic.
Oh my god!
Like that man. First of all, I love that version of Wells. Of H.R. Wells. I was like, yo,
the first one, right?
I don't even care about what y'all do with Reverse Flash. Bring him back.
Professor X. That's what I call him.
I'm like, bring him back, because the way this man was like helping everybody. I mean, what else? They got the other one, the HR one. HR. I was like, bro, like stop it, man. I get it. The actor wants to have fun. Stop it. We don't need that. But then when they got the other one from Earth 2, I was like, okay, it's a little bit of a mix of both.
Yeah,
I could dig this, but yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I know we got more catching up to do.
Yeah,
but
DC's villains are, it's incredible how well they handle a lot of the villains on the Flash. Some are a little too hokey. That show is way better than it deserves to be. Right,
yeah,
it's campy, it's corny, it shouldn't work.
Knows what it is, and that's the thing. Even though it makes no sense, there are times it makes 0 sense. Like Barry is only as fast as he wants to be when he wants to be. I'm like, bro, you move so fast, you stop time, and you could just sit here and do whatever, but you still get shot. You still you still let somebody sneak up on you. Like, what is going on?
Yo. It's dope.
They lost me with some of the physics, man. I was like, I get the fact that Barry can like vibrate through things. I totally get that. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But this man, I can even understand you vibrating another person. It's kind of stupid, makes no sense, but I get it. I'll go with it. I'll suspend belief. This man vibrated a whole train through a whole thing. I was like, no.
Wait.
No.
You didn't see wait till you see the plane.
I don't even want to go there.
Yo.
like, it doesn't make sense.
It's
Like,
just to show
if
the
I have my
progression of his
phone,
abilities,
but I'm
right?
just
He's
saying, if
leveling up every episode, every
I have
season.
my phone, I have enough strength to make it vibrate however I want because I'm strong enough to make my phone vibrate. But I'm saying an entire train, that's like me saying, like, yo, let me phase my entire house because I'm just going to vibrate at such a frequency that the entire house vibrates with me. I'm not strong enough to do that. I can maybe do the chair I'm sitting on.
Speed
But
Force.
see, and that's the other problem. When in doubt, this is the issue I have with in the comics and in the movie in the show. When in doubt, drop him in the Speed Force. Barry done thrown everybody he knows in the Speed Force.
Speed Force. Throw him in the sun. Speed
That's
Force.
the same thing. As soon as throw him in the sun, Barry throw him in the Speed Force. I'm like, and Batman throw him in the Arkham. Whatever, man.
Oh God, yo, that needs to be a meme. When in doubt, just throw him in the sun.
That's what everybody expects.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Invincible to do that.
Yo.
Hey, throw them people in the sun. Problem solved. I think literally. I want to say, did you watch up to episode 3 yet?
Yeah, I watched episode 3.
Okay, I want to say, didn't Omni Man say that? Like, yeah, I'll just throw him into space.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing? Yo, he ended the episode just going ham on those aliens.
Yeah, he was like, "Yo, I'll be back."
He was like,
"No, I gotta go there because they keep coming back too much.
Right.
I'll be back. Let me go handle.
Just go commit genocide real quick."
Overall, I love that angle though. The fact that they all just kept coming back at different times, more involved. I was like, "Yo, this is pretty interesting.
This is pretty dope." And then he just shows up one day. He's like, "This is getting annoying. Let me just solve this problem."
Stop. I was like, first of all, bro, how did you come back?
Yo.
He just went to their time and was like, time to die.
Love his wife. His wife is all, she's like,
she's
desensitized to everything. She's like, oh, he went to another dimension again? I guess he'll be late for dinner.
I'm also interested, though, in this whole thing is the fact that, this is a world that's already had superheroes. It's not like Omni-Man just showed up and all of a sudden, I mean, granted, we don't know, but I'm just more, the fact that they already have a Justice League. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have that Abraham Lincoln dude. He's called, do you know what his name is? Okay.
What are you talking about?
The guy that was like the leader of their fake Justice League.
Oh, Immortal.
Yes, Immortal.
So he was like a combination of Captain America and Superman.
Yeah, basically. And according to the comics, he literally was Abraham Lincoln, as well.
Oh.
So, yeah. I don't know if they ever explain how he got his powers in the comics, but he's been around for like thousands of years, basically. But yeah, he I forgot where I was going with that.
Yeah, he's been around for 1,000 years. He's really Abraham Lincoln.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, where have all these other heroes? Like, this planet just already had heroes.
Yeah, they were already there. He just
people was just there, and then Omni-Man just showed up and was like,
from the planet Viltrum.
What up, y'all? So
it was, and everybody was already used to people with powers appearing. What's one more?
It's kind of like, so.
Yeah, he got powers. Born every day, B.
Yeah. So I mean, they got agencies and stuff. They got teams. They got rosters. It's a setup.
You need to run that streaming pass, son.
Yeah, all right.
Oh,
see,
right? That's what I get.
That's what you know. Oh, did you wrap up your show already?
Oh, I should do that. Anyway, I forgot where we left off. We kept going off on other tangents.
I don't.
Listen,
just make a generic close.
Right, the generic close. Listen, thanks for joining us. If you guys like this video, make sure that you drop a like, and if you're new here to our channel, make sure you subscribe. We'll be back next week. Peace.